It's the middle of September and I thought it would be a good time to visit my annual garden bed again. Lots of things have finished for the winter and are going up to seed, and there will be time to start clearing things out. So we'll just have a little recap on what worked and what didn't work quite so well. The first two beds were my green picking beds, and they worked well over winter. The lettuces at the back of the first wash trough have gone up to seed, and I've pulled them out. The ones at the front that I planted a little bit later are being harvested. The spring onion bed, they're starting to go to seed at the moment, so I'll probably start pulling them out rather than just snipping the tops off, and we'll have something else in there later. There's a nice lettuce tree up there. I'll be having pretty yellow flowers quite soon. I'm going to leave that, and there's a lettuce way over the back there, two different types that I'll let grow to seed. The rest of them I'll pull up. And in this bed closest here, there's Endive here just starting to go to seed at the front. There's some that I'm picking at the back. And the walking onions, they're just dividing a little bit down at their bottom at the moment, and they'll come and grow some flowers at the top, or seeds I suppose it is more like, at the top later on. That comes late summer. The two self-watering pots there don't have much of interest. There's a bit of native grass I'm growing in one, and leftovers from summer, and also some cuttings that I've grown that I'm about to plant out fairly soon. They're just perennial cuttings. And in the cold frame here is tomatoes that are getting close to being ready to plant, but it's a bit cold just yet. And in this end I've got some natives that I took cuttings from, and some are growing and some are not doing very well at all. And the ones over the back are, I think they're going to be compost quite soon. In the bed behind the cold frame I've got some green beans that have come up, and I'll be planting some cucumber in the middle of that. That hasn't germinated yet. That's inside in the spare bedroom at the moment. So the frame's all there ready for them to grow up something. And right next door I have this glorious crop of garlic. Look at that. That should keep me going for most of next year, or all of next year. And in front in this tub, the leeks have really come into their own. I'm harvesting them at the moment. I think I saw one going up to seed, so I'll have a beautiful yellow flower there soon. Around the edge I planted carrots and beetroot. The beetroot didn't really do very much, so we're going to harvest that for the leaves, I think. And the carrots, this time of year things start to go to seed, so I'm harvesting the carrots, just sort of taking out every second one as I go around, and having them as baby carrots. Behind there's a few more leeks. The silver beet has decided that it's time to go to seed, so I may well transplant the one that's most advanced in its seed into a perennial bed, so that I can use these beds for something else. There's a bit of celery down there that's survived the winter, and a self-sown lettuce. In the warm weather we had a few days ago, I had to put nets over because the cabbage butterflies were all over the place. I even had to feed one of the caterpillars to a moth, to the chooks. And I don't think I'm going to get very far with my Brussels sprouts. This one here has actually got some sprouts, but not getting the sun. Just starting. I'm one of those weird people, I really like Brussels sprouts, so it's a bit disappointing, but maybe next year if I plant them earlier I'll get something to eat out of them. They're actually starting to go to seed. I've lopped the top off that one earlier, but it's starting to go to seed again, and this one as well, it's also going up to seed. But the green one over here is not doing much yet, but it hasn't got any sprouts on it either, so that's not a lot of use. I've put some broad beans in here to use as green manure, and I've left them a bit late, but they'll get chop down this week, I expect. And I think we can see kale in flower there as well. So it'll be nice to be able to take the net off the whole of the bed and just put it over the sprouts. The sprouts are actually planted in that square foot garden that I talked about, and in between them I've got some lettuces and some, not silver beets, beetroot, and in the square foot where the sprouts are, I allowed a couple more lettuces to grow because I figure you can never have enough lettuce. You can always cook it if you can't eat it in a salad. And in between these ones, the carrots are doing very nicely in there. I've been pulling off the bottom leaves from the sprouts so that they get a bit of sunshine, but they seem to be doing quite nicely. They're not ready yet. The next two bathtubs didn't get planted out this year. This is the one that we had to empty early on, and the soil from this one is going to go into that one, and I'll start using it. I'll probably grow tomatoes this summer. In here I've still got some rhubarb that's going to go to the Hurstbridge Hub garden, and there's some lettuce seedlings and some other seedlings and some self-seeded lettuces over the back there. They may get transplanted or they might just get eaten. It depends on what I need on the day. These plants here, they're American Upland Crest. It's supposed to keep your cabbage butterfly away from your cabbage, but they have to lay their caterpillars on the cabbage, and then the caterpillar has to make its way to the Upland Crest, and by the time it's done that, it's done a lot of damage on your cabbage. And I actually didn't find it worked in the past, but hey, they're nice and they actually taste quite nice, so they're worth growing. They might have some effect. And in this bed, once again, it hasn't been planted out. Things are just going up to seed. Nice lettuce flower up there, and cornflower, my beautiful Alison, and this, I think it was a purple sprouted broccoli, but it got aphid on it, so I've chopped off and the chicks have had a feed of that. And this is a herb, I can't remember what it's called. It's supposed to taste like cucumber, but I kind of get a cucumbery sort of flavour from it, but I find it's a little bit bitter, but it's got a nice sort of purpley flower on it, so that's nice to have something different in the garden. In the next two wicking beds, there's the peas and the broad beans that are the main harvest for the moment, and they seem to be doing their annual thing. It doesn't matter when you plant them, they wait until they get beaten up by the equinox gales, and then they start producing pods. So I get broad beans and peas at the same time, and I like peas a lot better, so the broad beans get a little bit neglected. On the west side of the peas, there's this wasabi ma that is going up to seed. That was a really good value vegetable. It's got a really nice, hot, kind of mustardy sort of flavour. It's really tasty in a salad, gives it a bit of a zing. And over the back, the endive has gone up to seed and it's flowering very nicely there. So there's a bit of pollen about for my beneficial insects. And I'll probably save a little bit for seed, although I'm not really sure about that. I might just have some wasabi ma. And here, this escaped my notice and has started to go to seed. That's the Malva Pavifolia. The seed pods are about the size where you could eat them now if you wanted. They're called cheeses because of their shape. But the leaves have got rust and they're not edible anymore, so they actually need to go, and they might end up being drowned. They might actually end up going out in the green bin. The green bin gets emptied from this place about twice a year, so not a lot goes there. Whatever I can compost, I do. The broad beans, nice pretty flowers. Beans tasting like broad beans do. But unfortunately down here I've got some rust on the leaves, so I think what I might do is chop them up and bury them in the compost and harvest the beans, and I'll have a spare corner to start planting things in. Under the net to the west of the beans there's the broccoli that we've been harvesting for a while. We've taken the main flower out and eaten that a while ago, and we've been harvesting the side shoots ever since. They're doing well, and some celery just growing there. That's actually a self-seeded celery that's doing very nicely. And down here I have some fennel that's finally starting to grow something edible at the bottom there, so that'll be nice. Over the other side, let's go around there, I planted some beetroot down there. It hasn't actually done very much over winter. I'm hoping for better things in summer, but if it starts to go up to seed I'll just eat the leaves. And there's some red beet, silver beet, that's not actually going to seed just yet, but I think it will quite soon. It's growing very tall. So we'll have to eat that and make space for whatever I choose to grow for summer. And that's the end of that bed. And right at the end here I've got the Anzac peach that's blossomed. Doesn't seem to have any curly leaf, and it doesn't seem to have any aphids on it, so that's a bonus this year. So we're looking forward to a summer of peaches and nectarines and tomatoes and many, many things. So it's all about the future just now. And I'll finish up the video with a photo of my beautiful kale that's gone to flower, looking very, very pretty. I've had to tie it off, of course it won't stand up like that on its own in the wind that we're having here. And the girls, they're still here. They've gone through their mulch, and a couple of them are laying eggs. I think they're taking it in turns, so we never get 3 eggs a day, but anyway, that's okay. They're doing their job in there, clearing up the weeds for me. And that's it for this season.